This is the Athearn boxcar that a friend of mine got me from a flea market in South Carolina where he now lives. Came up for Memorial Day and brought a bunch of this stuff. This car has obvious problems. I mean, there are no stirrup steps left. There was a crack here, which I have repaired. There's one side. There's the other side. Somebody, I don't think it was me because I didn't use any solvents on this thing to clean it. There are fingerprints here and here. It looked like they're into the paint. So I'll have to get rid of those. These grabs are molded in. They look terrible. I'll probably shave them off and put other removable or more prototypical grabs on it. Looking at the top, the corner of the walkway on top is broken off. And of course it's not painted. It looks pretty bad. There are a lot of worn places like here where the paint's gone entirely. You can see the paint's gone entirely here, here, there. All in all, it's in pretty rough shape. And he paid way too much for it. The walkway is coming up. Has to be fixed. The M here, the decal is gone in this part. I don't know if I'll paint that over or just put a big glob of rust there. Probably just a big glob of rust. Because this car is going to look really beat up through weathering. Looking at the bottom of the shell, you can see where I repaired this. I put in a little piece of styrene to reinforce it, and the scar on the outside will be withered away, so it won't be anything to worry about. The lettering is okay. It's not great. It's legible, but it's about par for the course for a train set car of this vintage. I don't know when it was built. The build date on the car says 1950, but I think this is probably from the 60s. It came with horn and hook couplers too, so it's ancient. If you compare the door, this is the door for the other side, of course, you can see that this piece here has been broken off. That should be a fairly easy repair. I'm not going to make the piece that goes underneath this slide here. I'm just going to put a piece on here so from the side it looks okay. This car must have taken a pretty good hit when it fell off a table or was dropped or whatever. This rung down here on the ladder is pretty mushed down, and of course the step is gone. One nice thing is the brake wheel is still attached. I'm all out of spare brake wheels, so I would have had to order some. So that's okay. This car is in such rough shape that I didn't mind doing some experimentation to see if I could get the floor off without breaking anything. I was able to do so, much to kind of my amazement. One detail that was pretty nice, well, as far as it goes anyway, is they have actual board markings here on the floor, which a lot of them do not have. So this is all going to be painted up so it looks like an actual wood floor, and that should be pretty good. Seeing as the door is open, that will be visible. In order to get the door off, I had to remove the upper runner, and the way it works once I got the shell off is to find out that it's just pressed in with these little nibs. So that was pretty easy to get off without breaking anything. So that'll allow me to repair the broken slider on the actual door without solvent welding the whole thing together. So that makes life a little easier. As far as some of the other details, I don't know if I'm going to bother too much with it other than painting. There's enough to do with this thing just to make it presentable enough to be on the layout. Of course, the layout's just a test track right now, so the underframe is in pretty good condition. I expected to have some of these things, these braces broken off, but they're fine. I've already changed out the couplers to KD number 5s. I had some spares sitting around when I switched some of the couplers on my stock to whisker couplers. Turned out pretty good. They fit well. I did have to trim away some of the little bumps here that contained the spring for the hook and horn couplers, but that wasn't a big deal. One of the sides of the gearbox was broken a little bit and sticking out, so I solvent welded that back in place. A pleasant surprise was the trucks. They are rusted a little bit. The axles are rusted, but I may actually leave them like that because I don't think I could do as good a job weathering as the actual weathering did. The wheels are metal. I'm very surprised about, because most of these really cheap train set cars, oh come on, don't do that. Most of the train set cars have plastic wheels, so that's pretty good. Let me keep this from running away. Wheels roll really freely. They're pretty good. They look like some of the bolsters and wheel sets that I had from years ago, that some of which I've replaced with new KD. But these actually have regular springs, like the old ones and like the more expensive KDs. At least the ones that aren't that flexible plastic stuff. I much prefer having real springs in these things. After the car had the couplers replaced with the KDs, I assembled the thing and ran it in my consist. There's 10 or 12 cars, depending upon which one I'm working on. And it stayed on the track. It really tracked well. I was surprised because a lot of these cars, the wheel gauges are wrong, and there's wear such that they will derail, in which case I have to swap out the wheel sets or swap out the entire truck, which can get expensive. So I'm trying to reuse as much of this old stuff as I can, being on a really limited budget. Alright, so that's the story on the Athearn Boxcar as it stands before most of the restoration has begun. So we'll get to work on that and report back. Hopefully I can make this sow's ear into something nice, like maybe a silk purse or maybe a decent looking weathered beat to crap old boxcar. The weight plate was badly corroded, so I used navel jelly to get the worst of it off, and then I used a wire brush on my rotor tool to get rid of the rest. Big pits in it and so on. But it wasn't painted at all. So when I get these cars where the weights aren't painted, I paint them in Rust-Oleum black primer. So it looks a lot better that way. Also, here's the B end of the car with the brake wheel still attached. Imagine that. The thing's so beat up, it's a miracle that it's still there. All right, well, we'll get back to work, I guess. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.